Woke up this morning feeling fine. There's something special on my mind. Last night I met a new girl in the neighborhood. Whoa, yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of The GOAT. So this one's looking back on the West Ham game and also looking forward to Bologna and a couple of other little bits in between. So just a quick review on West Ham, obviously a few days ago now. But with the international break, things seems to go a bit strange, don't they? And it's a bit like that bit in between Christmas and New Year. No one really knows what's going on. I actually thought that was probably our strongest performance in quite some time. Even during the really good run, I think we had a lot of performances where, we did sort of get out of jail a little bit with sort of really quality strikes from outside the box and so forth. And not all the time, but I did feel we were still struggling to really consistently put a whole game together. We often go behind and be strong in the second half. And I did feel with this West Ham game, it was a real complete game and as good as we've looked for some time. I think West Ham were pretty lucky it wasn't 4 or 5. Obviously, the return of John McGinn is massive for us. Tielemans on the bench again, massive. You were hoping he'd come on and get 20 minutes or so, which he did. I was really, really impressed. Again, it's no coincidence that when Onana plays in a sort of what I'd call an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 type performance, we're just a better side. There's no doubt about it. And what he did when he dispossessed Bowen, set Rodgers clear for the second goal, which obviously ended up with Ollie Watkins scoring after the keeper parried it. That all came from him. Instead of standing off and letting Bowen pass it or whatever, he's got in, disrupted play, set someone else up. And really, we've sort of sealed the game on the back of that. You always worry at 1-0, even when you're playing really well, that even just one set piece, something can change a game. But yeah, obviously superb set piece from the free kick that John McGinn scores. So that was Sancho twice in a week, I think, setting him up. Really, really nice finish. And yeah, I thought we pretty much dominated. They had a little spell of a couple of corners, but even match of the day, you sort of look back at games when you do watch that and think, well, they try and make it look like it's a sort of a close-ish game, and really it actually isn't. And they couldn't show anything from West Ham because there was nothing to show. So yeah, it was a good, really good and important 3 points, and I think a real good, real good performance as well. So yeah, we've got a next game in Bologna. Luckily today I managed to, I'll say luckily, I've got tickets anyway. It was nice to be in the top section for a change because we've spent most of the last couple of seasons in sort of section 3 or so, and never quite sure if you're going to get them or not. So again, a little bit like the Lille game, it was stress-free. It was in and out, nice and quick. And by 10:05, it was done, which was really nice. Can't wait to go. Really looking forward to seeing Bologna, the city, the Bologna, the ground, the traditional old ground with the tower and everything else. I can't wait. We're going to have a little cheeky trip to Milan first, just for a sort of an afternoon and the next morning. And yeah, I absolutely can't wait for that. I suppose the only leading up to that, and say about games, is we've had this friendly in Spain today. Now, obviously, Jadon Sancho's got injured, and by the looks of it, it looks like either some sort of shoulder collarbone injury. It looks pretty bad. If it's as bad as it looks, you could pretty well say he's going to be done for the season, which is a real shame. I'm not his biggest fan, but he has been contributing, and we need him. We needed him to be contributing, and this would be a massive setback. Now, I've already seen people say, "Oh, what are we playing friendlies for?" and all this sort of thing. Well, you got a group there. I mean, if you looked at that first team, the team that started the first half, it's probably as good as a team there's some first teamers in there, and as good as a team you'd stick out in the sort of second round, third round of the Carabao Cup. It was a really decent first 11 with Ollie Watkins on the bench and a load of kids. And I don't know what else you can do. You can't have that group of maybe 13, 14 squad members sat on their ass just walking around training for 2 weeks. They've got to physically play games, and to set up a sort of nice sort of kick around in the sunshine seems like a really, really good idea. At the end of the day, Emi Buendia did his knee in training. It can happen. It looked really innocuous as well. I saw it and go over, and it wasn't anything like nasty from the opposition player or anything like that. So it's really difficult, but absolutely, madness to be blaming the club or whoever's organising it, because you've got to have physical games to keep these players ready to go, and literally ready to go for Bologna, because some of them will play in that game. It's just fucking unlucky. That's all it is. It's really, really unlucky. And yeah, sort of injury curse strikes again. I did wonder, we were putting so much of our future of this season in the hands of Tielemans and McGinn coming back, not taking into account that somewhere along the line someone else might go. So yeah, but it's a bit of a shame. I mean, people talking about results and all the rest of it. It's absolutely fucking irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. But what matters is potentially losing a guy who's been contributing over the last few weeks, if nothing else, and he's been starting games for us. And obviously the alternative is Leon Bailey, who quite frankly has been appalling since we brought him back on loan. I know it's needs must. I absolutely get that, but you cannot escape the fact he's been really poor. He was probably the only negative of that West Ham game. Another dreadful cameo, just came on, lost the ball. One time he just gave up again. But yeah, so yeah, that's disappointing, but nothing at all that the club or Unai Emery can do. It's just really fucking bad luck. So yeah, and then obviously, yeah, we're going to go on from there, and so we'll see what happens with Sancho, and then obviously the next game in this sort of elongated international match week. I hate to call it a break because most players are playing or doing something, not really having a break. Yeah, and then we obviously move on to that Bologna game, which is going to be super important, as we all know. The one thing that's been interesting, obviously, again, the thing with the ticket prices is sort of keeping going. I've tried to have a look at how many seats are left, and I know a lot of people can work out very quickly if it's in the thousands or whatever. It seems to be, quite a few areas and quite a few seats. It looks like around by me, pretty much everyone's taken their seat up. But certainly, if you wanted to go, there does seem plenty of options left, which is a shame for quarterfinals of a European competition. If these things have been priced a bit like Forest at 40 quid, I think they'd have probably gone by now, to be honest. But yeah, that's the way the club are going. They're more interested in making profit and not filling out the ground. So again, don't complain if the atmosphere is not very good, because it's on you. It's what you've created. I remember sitting there in a game in the Championship, particularly. We always look back to it actually because it was Stoke at home. It was absolutely pissing down. It finished 2-2, and we were just saying, "Oh, can you imagine?" This grim game today that, maybe in 5-6 years' time we could be playing some of the top teams in Europe, or even just playing in Europe at all. And we sort of laughed about it at the time, and like, how much would the club change? And you realise how much it has. They were pretty much begging us in the Championship. The top part of the North Stand was the top part of the Trinity Road was closed for quite a few games, and they're almost begging us to like bring someone, all this sort of thing. And it is frustrating then when you get to sort of last season and the Champions League and fans getting absolutely rinsed. And for some reason, season ticket holders seem to be a target for a lot of people, especially online. Well, don't go there. And, fuck me. I don't even want to go down that route because it's so fucking frustrating talking about people like that. But yeah, there's one thing in particular. I was watching Dan Bardell on his podcast, just sort of via YouTube, and I got a lot of admiration actually for Dan, because he's taken a lot of shit. He's really took a stance to back the supporters as regards the ticket prices, and he said himself, he did last year, and it's cost him within the club. And we had a game, I can't remember which one it was, last year, but we'd come out the whole pub, and we're just walking down. I saw him, and I just, sometimes I feel bad even interrupting people, quite honestly, because they maybe it's a price of when these podcasts will ever get popular. I don't know, but I felt the need just say thanks for sticking up for fans, because there's too many people going, well, it's a Champions League, you just got to pay it, and all the rest of it. And he was really doing it, we had a quick chat just for a minute or so. And I think most fans are pretty appreciative, to be honest, of what he does. He said himself, it's cost him personally, probably within the club where he might have had links or, people he could speak to and whatever. Maybe he's lost that because he's been very critical of these prices. And obviously, with what's happened with this quarter final against Bologna with the home game, the club are still doing it. I think, again, when people are talking about the season ticket prices at other clubs, they're pretty unanimously all going up. I think if any of our fans, are thinking we might keep the prices held or whatever for next season, they're in Cloud Cuckoo land, I think they'll be going up. 100%, they will be going up. And it will be the one negative if we do get into the Champions League, because the fans will pay through the nose for it. I am certain that you will have a 3-figured general admission ticket for Champions League games. Fuck knows what the 4 games or whatever it's going to cost just to watch the group games. It's almost going to be not far off half the price of a season ticket. It's certainly a negative for the fans, and I'm not going to like it. I'm always going to moan about it, and I think you can still buy your ticket for these games and still be very unhappy about it. The two aren't mutually exclusive. You can quite clearly be very angry about some of these prices. But yeah, it's the way football's going. I mean, I've seen something from probably over half the clubs, at least in the Premier League, where supporters are saying the same thing. They get treated like shit. The price is really high. They've got tourist fans in seats. You've got Spurs fans saying that you've got tourist fans telling them to sit down when they shout and berate someone on the pitch or whatever else. And I noticed something with a Manchester City fan today who said they employed a ticket liaison officer who, at the time, they thought was a really good idea, good move. There was a link between fans and the club, so when ticket issues come up, this guy was the guy to go to. And it turns out that he's been scouring Twitter to find fans who've been reselling their tickets, even though apparently the vast majority have been at face value or less. So it's just, so-and-so can't make a game because it's been rearranged, it's now midweek or whatever. He just wants to get the money back on his ticket. Or he wants to just get rid of it for 10, 15 quid. And this guy has been scouring Twitter, then seeing if anything can match people who've sent direct messages via Twitter to their helpline, like Villa have got. And if he's matching them up, they've been getting bans. And these people have been banned for 6 months, and these things have been growing, and they've sort of dotted the I's and crossed the T's. And it's come out with this guy. And you think, fucking hell, can clubs hate us anymore? It's like season ticket holders are just a massive target. We've all got massive targets on our back for one reason or another. We're the targets for the club. And it's like, well, if you can remove us and replace us, obviously, as we've said a million times before, with someone different every game who's going to go down the club shop and spend money, that's all they want. They don't care who's in that seat. Man United have been like that for decades. And now everybody's following on. And it's just fucking horrible to see. But so many clubs. I saw Crystal Palace on about the awful music they were playing before games, like in the build-up to games. I thought, well, I can relate to that because Villa are the same. They wrote to them in the Conference League and were told, oh, it's UEFA regulations, so we can't do anything. Then they said, well, okay, we got a home game with Leeds in the Premier League. Can we do something then? And basically, they wanted the music off for 10 minutes to start singing songs about the club players, whatever else. No, we can't do that either. And it was like, well, it's like the other night, people went on about that Lille game. It's so important. We need the atmosphere. We need this place rocking. And like I said, I think in the last one, 15 minutes before the game, we're playing adverts at full volume. It just beggars belief. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know the ideas behind it, because it certainly doesn't happen at the away European games like that at all. I don't know, but the point is there are so many clubs where there's a lot of unhappiness with fans, with prices, the way they're treated. Another one I saw in Man City was pointing out away fans, and then they're the ones being threatened with being ejected from the ground. Again, it's like, look after your tourists, look after your day trippers. Season ticket holders, you can get the fuck out. And that really seems to be the case at a lot of clubs. I think West Ham's another one that was come up with similar things happening with it, especially with the away fans getting in. It's really, really galling when the clubs you love treat you like shit and prioritise trippers, tourists. Trippers and tourists, of course. You want some at your ground, but you don't want them in replacement of your season ticket holders. But the clubs see it differently. So I really think, Dan, I really sort of appreciate what Dan Bardell does, and to his own detriment with the club, he sticks up for the supporters quite fiercely. And I'm really sort of I'm really appreciative that he does it. He's got a big platform, and he could use it to not do that and just look after himself, but he doesn't. And I think he deserves because he takes a lot of shit, especially online, and all of it's fucking undeserved. And I'm glad he's got a thick skin, and he sticks with it. And he's fucking right anyway. But John Townley and that Claret and Blue podcast, they've been on about it too. John as well. I mean, he's another one. He's working for a Birmingham Live and whoever else. Maybe got to be a bit careful. Villa might say, well, you're not welcome at the press conference then, or whatever, if you're going to be super critical of a club. But he's absolutely right. At the end of the day, you've all got families and people like that. Your dad's still going and all the rest of it. It's affecting everybody. And at a time when we really need everybody on board, you need the fans behind the team, feeling like we're all part of something, not being sort of pushed away from it. A little bit like the lad who had his Lille away ticket taken off him after he'd been to every European away game. I mean, the treatment of a fan as loyal as that absolutely fucking stinks for retweeting something to help someone else sell a ticket, not even his own. Absolutely fucking stinks. But there we are. So a bit of a negative ending. But we've had 2 wins in 3. Things have definitely sort of perked up a little bit. And now we've just got to wait for what seems like an eternity, but it's just under 2 weeks. But Bologna away. Hopefully we can get ourselves a good result and set ourselves up nicely for the second leg. Or we shall see. But for now, that's the end of that. And up the Villa. Cheers.